Chapter 16. Looming in the Desert. Far from the traveling group, the self-proclaimed Pharaoh of the other side gazed into a large crystal ball. Relaxed, Clariss sat on a fancy throne. The throne appeared to be a stone carving of a sphinx. Between the paws of the sphinx was the seat. The paws themselves made for armrests. One paw's claws twisted around the orb of crystal. Clariss rubbed his chin with a mischievous grin. Strapped to his chin was a false beard. The false beard was small and long and represented his divinity. Clariss had long black hair with many braids. Yellow, green, and white braids dangled from his head. His hair was about shoulder's length. Painted around his eyes was a scrap pine green and black makeup. He wore a slight headdress full of gemstones. His garments were a golden brown, while golden arm links clasped to his upper arms. He slid his long fingernails around the ball. "This is ridiculous," he snarled. A few of his self-animated servants rushed to the edges of his throne. The servants appeared half human-like and half stone creature. Their stone heads indicated that they were objects endowed with a service intellect. One servant slanted its head as if to ask what could be the matter. "Bring me Diamantel right now," Clariss shouted. "This is absurd. Others think they have the right to be in my dimension after I was cast here and obtained my true godliness. The intruders think they can enter and ruin everything for me. I hated other realms because everyone had their influences. It was like a multi-massive game for everyone, playing out their lives. They affected each other's realities with their beliefs and imposed on others. Souls would submit themselves to forgetting their innate abilities. Those who remembered were crucified. Well, I'm in touch with my inner godliness, and no one shall take it away from me. Not now and not ever again. Being cast to the other side has been my blessing." Clariss appeared sour when Diamantel the cobra slithered up the throne. "Master," the snake hissed, "what do you wish of me?" The snake had a ruby and emerald grid on the back of its hood. Down the length of the cobra was also decorated. On the tip of the snake's tail was a well-cut, sparkling diamond. The diamond was the size of a human fist. "I wish you'd go scope out those intruders. They're heading towards the river, and I speculate they're truly trying to find my pyramids." Clariss pounded the throne. A few statue servants gasped with his hands to their faces. Diamantel waved its tail before it asked, "You don't think they're out there to cause conflict with you? What if they want to take over your self-made paradise, Pharaoh? This is your creation, after all, and they have no right to change this into any sort of co-creation." "Absolutely," commented Clariss. So glad I created you, Diamond." Clariss acted like a youngster that didn't want to play with anyone else but himself. Diamantel hissed, "Since the group we speak of is heading for the river with the monster inside of it, why not wait it out and see if the group even survives the beast? If the group survives, then I shall make myself present to them. Then we'll find a way to rid these intruders. When I pursue them, you may see everything through my eyes. After all, I am your projection." The scene of the Pharaoh faded as the wind blew harder on the group traveling forward. Hours went by as the group traveled on their carpet carriage. "Hee-yah!" Simone yelled as the wind blew through his hair. "This shouldn't be too much longer." Isaac groaned and complained. "That's what you said an hour ago. Then an hour before that. It's hard to tell distance when all there is sand as far as one can see," mentioned Zayak. I suppose you're right, but don't mind my complaining. My bum is sore, my leg's gone stiff." He kicked his legs a few times, then stood up and stretched. "Guys, it won't be much longer. It looks like less than a mile," encouraged Simone as he drove on. "Sorry, Simone, I'm sore too," Zayak sighed. "Guys, wait!" Zayak squinted as he swore he saw blue-colored waves in the distance. The group flew over crusted, patchy-looking dirt. The dirt appeared as dry as a bone. Zayak blinked and rubbed his eyes as he continued to focus on the blue color in the distance. "Is it a mirage, or am I seeing the river? I'm I'm sure that's the river. Let's take a break, then travel some more. Simone pulled the carriage over and landed in the crusty dirt. It shouldn't be too long. I think you're right, Simone. I think we have about a mile to worry about. Earlier I thought I saw a sandstorm. Sure hope we don't get caught off guard, worried Zayak. The sandstorm is off in the distance. If it hits, we'll have to take shelter. You mean make a shelter, mate? Isaac observed the sandstorm. Zayak sort of nodded. So what should we do if it actually is traveling fast? It could sweep up our campsite. Should we risk it? We should take shelter now, mate. Imagine a hole with a dome over it. Right now, there's plenty of time. Simone took a big stretch and then placed his hand on the ground. I want a large hole 10 foot by 10 foot. Zayak watched as the sand began to sink. It was melting like butter until there was a 10-foot hole. I'd like stair steps going down, said Simone as he imagined. Don't forget a cover for our heads, suggested Isaac. Zayak felt nervous as he watched the two create the protective dome. Something just felt strange to him. The wind picked up and spat sand in their faces. I think we'd better hurry inside. Aye, that came up on us fast. Isaac hurried and finished the brick dome. Everyone climb in. It looks great, Isaac. Glad we could work together. Simone patted Isaac's back. Once we are all inside, Zayak, why don't you light it up, and then we'll put the door on. Zayak slid his way inside of the hole and listened to the wind wailing on their doorstep. Zayak almost forgot to make the light, closed his eyes and tried to shut off all his thoughts of despair. He thought of a lamp, a simple black lamp with a handle. He thought of an old lamp he used to have when he was a few years younger. He'd use it to read books in the dark whenever the power went out, during stormy days back on Wrath. Soon he felt the sturdy handle rim in his palm. He opened his eyes and pressed the button on the lamp. A faint blue light glowed. Great work, Zayak. Simone waited till Isaac moved inside, then installed a door with a latch on it. We should be safe now, estimated Simone as he locked the door. Blimey, how could I forget? Isaac set up a couple of sofas and a lounger. They're all comfy. Thankfully for the bunch, the latch was sealed good and tight because the wind smacked and shook the door. Oh my gosh, Zayak inhaled. I'm so glad we didn't remain outside any longer. That really was on our tail. Yeah, I didn't even see the storm until you mentioned it. Simone shook his head. I was going to press on. Then it would have taken you by surprise. Zayak threw himself onto a sofa. But you didn't, mate. We'll all be blown apart. My poor little Cotton might get lost. Isaac nuzzled Cotton and placed it down in a pet bed he fashioned for it. There you go, little one. Good night. He took his seat across from Zayak and the lounger. Cotton seemed wore out and nuzzled into the mat inside the bed. It didn't bother to play. Zayak listened to the wind whistle through their door and found himself drifting off into a dream. Within the fantasy, the shadow of what appeared to be a tall man had a bold voice, telling him he needed to return. Zayak shook in his sleep. An urge to flee from the giant shadow, he tossed and turned on the sofa as their break wore on. You must return back to the beginning. Turn back to the beginning of everything. Zayak screamed and flung off the sofa, standing on his 2 feet, and glanced around. He sighed and plopped on the seat, rubbing his head. Would ya? Simone spattered as he flipped on his sofa. Simone woke up. He looked around and asked, Zayak, did something happen? I just had a nightmare. Zayak's composure seemed melancholy. He shook his head and said, I just want out of this desert. You don't know how badly. A familiar voice echoed in his head. You want out of here now? He shook his head again and squeezed his eyes shut. He spoke to the voice in his head. Of course I do. Act, please. It's that voice again. The voice came this time outside of Zayak's mind. Don't tell me you've forgotten. The tall man from the nightmare smirked as his long hands reached from a dense hole that formed under Zayak. The hands gripped to Zayak's sides and pulled on him. He felt the tugging and yanking from the hands. To Zayak, that hole opened out of nowhere under the sofa seat. Zayak called out for help. He felt suction on his body as if he was sliding in quicksand.